oftentimes people run an RCA when there's a safety incident. What's the difference between running a safety investigation and an RCA, or a root cause analysis? Is there one?
Yeah. There is, and there's all sorts of qualifiers about dictionaries and words that you use here, because there's safety, there's traditional safety, and then there's a whole nother progressive movement called safety differently, which is, claims to make safety look different than the traditionalist. I can tell you from the traditionalist standpoint, they essentially they define RCA as consistent with the principles of the 5 Whys. Mm-hmm. And 5 Whys is very predominant. It has its place. I personally don't consider it as root cause analysis as a qualified tool. Okay. And if you think about that, the reason that I'll back that up is that it gives people the impression that failure happens linearly, and it doesn't. Think about the difference in asking why and how could. How could has a lot more possibilities, mm-hmm. right? As opposed to, if I'm going to why, it's very limiting.
Yeah.
And it's leading. And also it gives people the impression that there's one root cause. So I've been doing this for 30 some years. I've hundreds, if not thousands of analyses. I've never had one root cause. I don't know where even 5 Whys came from. Why is it not 3 Whys, 10 Whys? I have no idea.
Oh yeah,
but it's good marketing, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it's good marketing, right? Everyone knows it. So,
it came out of Toyota, and it was meant for individuals on an assembly line to look at, to peel the onion a little deeper with things that they faced individually. Yeah. So it was not a tool meant for complex type of failures.
Right. I mean, I understand the 5 Whys and the linear progression because it's much more succinct, right? You try to find a root cause, but asking, you're right, the question, how could, that's very broad. And yes. I'm imagining it takes a lot more time to try to answer that question, how could?
Absolutely.
Not good.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to be quick, or do you want to be right?
That's fair.
Because if there say there was actually 10 root causes associated with an incident, and you found one, then all you're going to do is get really good at doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. So how does that relate to a safety investigation then?
Well, safety has a notorious reputation for when a safety incident occurs. Step one is the organization, especially if it's a serious injury or something like that, the organization is going to, step one is going to go check all of their paperwork and say, do we have policies and procedures in here that people should have adhered to?
Yeah.
And once they find out that they're covered, then they're going to go, step 2 is find out who broke our rules. And then discipline that person. It's the assignment of blame. So, the reality of the difference between the way I would perform RCA, which takes, I can easily do on safety events because the thought process is the same, is that you don't stop with the blame, is that you delve deeper into the reasoning and you get into the head of that person. That's how they feed their family. They didn't say, I'm going to come to work today and screw up everything. And then, what made them think that was the right thing to do that day? That's really what a progressive management should be interested in. And they should actually reject RCAs that don't get to that depth.
Yeah.
Because they're not complete.
Yeah. I love the attitude, Bob. And I think that really shines a good light on our industry, and take away this blame game and move it more towards, like you keep mentioning, a progressive environment, something that's supportive of the team and really tries to understand, I'm going to say it, the why behind the actions, mm-hmm. or maybe the how could behind the actions.
I think it's where people get uncomfortable because, I don't know whether it's unique or not. To us, it's unique that our form of RCA, the way that we see it, the way that we define it, couples the physics involved with a failure as well as the social sciences. And what that, engineers are great at the physics side,
Yeah.
but you get them down into the soft stuff and they're lost.
Yeah.
And there is a unique skill to those involved with human performance and human and organizational performance of being able to do the questioning in a much more effective manner than the directness and bluntness of engineers. But conversely, what's missing in safety is that it's the opposite. It's that, if you have a bunch of social scientist type folks who are good with the human, they're lost in the physics of the failure.
Mm-hmm.
That they don't even really want to even deal with that side, because in their cases, they're starting with the human and trying to figure out how their day was going and what led up to whatever the bad outcome was. Yeah. But if you ask them to look at a bearing, they're going to say it's round.